Alright, today I will be doing a deck profile on my Ghostrick Lockdown deck. It is a deck that I have a lot of fun with. You control very easily, and it is also a deck that makes you look like you know what you're doing as opposed to using a deck that runs itself, quote unquote. Like a lot of people like to say about spellbooks and boojins. But anyway, here's my Ghostrick deck. You got the 3 Jiangshi. The 3 Jiangshi is very important for any Ghostrick build because you are going to be searching cards, and Jiangshi will be used to get you Spectre and Lantern in most cases, and sometimes even Mary. The Mary is important if you are going to take damage that turn and you want to get yourself set up for the next turn. But in most scenarios, you're going to be grabbing one of these two. If they can't get over Jiangshi, then you grab a Lantern in case they can get over it with another card later that turn. Or, if they're going to get over it, you get the Spectre from the search, so you can draw. Very simple, nice combo to start off with. Jiangshi first turn is always really good. Next, we got the 2 Stein. Stein is very nice. At 2, I tried him at 3. I felt like I had him in hand way too much, so I am trying at him at 2, and it is working out very well. Because then you can search off, you get your search from attacking them directly, and then you can usually overlay for Alucard after you get the card you need. Most of the time the card you're going to be going for with my version of the deck is you're either grabbing Scare or a Knight. You're probably going to be grabbing the Knight though, because once you get that going and you're sitting on an Alucard and you can keep all their cards down, there's not much they're going to be able to do, because a lot of cards that can get over it usually have some parameter or along the lines of they need to control this or this, and if their cards are face down, they obviously don't control that. So Stein is very nice. For our last of the 3s, I have 1 ghoul in case you want to pump up a monster. In most cases it's going to be Stein, so you can get that search off over a monster, because if you can't attack directly, best thing to do is run over them. So that is why I have the ghoul in there. Next we go to the 2s. I only have 3, 2 of them being Doll. I really like Doll because when it flips up, you get to special summon in the end phase how many cards you set, and usually you're going to be getting Jiangshi, which is very nice because end phase set in your opponent's turn, setting Jiangshi, flipping next turn, giving you more advantage. You're going to be getting more cards out of that than you are losing, because you will more likely only lose the 1 Doll. And then next I have 1 Witch. Witch, unfortunately, becomes a card that you sit on sometimes because its effect can make you set, and then you'll activate Ghostrick Knight. And while I don't like sitting on Ghostrick Witch, it is actually one of the better cards to do it with, considering it has 1,200 attack. So that makes that one of the cards you're going to more than likely be sitting on if you don't have Stein at the time. Onto the level 1s. I have the 3 Lantern. Lantern is one of my favorite cards in the deck. There should be almost no point in the duel where you cannot get a Lantern out there to negate an attack. Even if it means leaving up a monster, sometimes you leave up a Ghostrick and then you'll set this to negate the attack, making your opponent look really stupid in the process. Always really fun with these hand traps that the Ghostricks introduced. Next one is we have the Jack Frost. Very fun card, especially if you have Mansion on the field. It helps out with the Ghostrick Knight. You will be able to make them, well, you won't make them attack, but they'll attack, and then you'll make them set their own card while setting a Ghostrick in your spot as well, helping you set up for a dual hand possibly next turn. Next for our 1s, we have 2 Spectre. 2 Spectre because when they destroy one of your Ghostrick monsters, you can then set Spectre and draw a card, giving you more advantage. You're not losing anything, and you're getting another monster on the field to help protect you. If not, maybe even get a dual hand out. And then Mary. Mary's really nice for when you know you're going to take some life point damage and setting up for the next turn. Most of the time I'd say you're probably setting a Jiangshi. If not, you're setting a Stein if you're out of Jiangshi. That way you can at least maybe try and get over them the next turn. So that's it for our Ghostrick monsters, but I do like my little version of the hand engine in here. I run 2 of each. That way I can get the effects off and still have field advantage, but I find 3 is a bit too much, especially in a Ghostrick build. But 4 usually sets you up pretty good where you can maybe get a rank 4 the next turn, which I don't run very many. I actually only run 2, one of which cannot be summoned by them. But anyway, onto our spells. The triple Swords of Concealing because it sets your opponent's monsters, and like I said, this is Ghostrick Lockdown. You want all your opponent's monsters to be set, and this card will become a big problem if you already have Knight on the field, because Knight will not be letting them flip up, and neither will this, because they cannot change their battle position from this. So they have 2 cards to really worry about getting rid of before they can even consider flipping anything, making your job very easy. Next we have 3 Mansion. 3 Mansion is good. I may drop it down to 2 at some point in time in the future and test out another Ghostrick card, probably a monster. 2, I oftentimes don't even see 2 half the time. People aren't too concerned about Ghostrick Mansion because they're too worried about Alucard, Knight, even Jiangxi. So the mansions can be dropped down to 2 probably, but I'll test that out in the future. Then we have the 1 Book of Moon. Book of Moon in this deck is pretty obvious because it's already a great card as is, but in a lockdown deck where you're setting all their cards, this becomes an absolutely important and must-have in your deck. That rounds up our spell cards, and now we're onto the traps, and this is probably the MVP of the whole deck. If your opponent is going ham on the field, there's no reason this should not be used. I don't care what you think they have. If they have a lance, they're only protecting 1, so that's going to create more problems for them, losing all their cards with 1. And on top of that, there should be no reason that when this card goes off, you don't have face down Ghostricks to help get you rolling the next turn. So the 3 Needle Sealing in this deck is an absolute must. It honestly is probably the biggest card you can have in the extra, or not in the extra deck, in the main deck. It is probably the MVP for the traps. And then next we have the 3 Scare. While you may not be using the 3 Scare, you do need to use it. It'll help you get rolling with the Jiangxi plays. You can flip up Jiangxi, get a Lantern, negate their attack if they try and attack it with another card, and by that time it's too late because you'll be able to activate the Lantern, giving you more cards than them. Well, maybe not more than them, but you'll have more advantage than them for sure. So Scare is a very, very big must at 3. Next I have 2 Knight. 3 might be too many. I haven't tested 3 out, but I'm finding it 2. I get it when I need it, and if I don't have it, I can usually search it out with Stein. This card is very good because it becomes a huge problem, because if they do destroy it, there is the effect where they cannot do their battle phase. That turn they destroy it, and that includes even if this card was not activated. So therefore, if they just see a set trap card and they're trying to go for game, activate it, and they'll be like, or not even activate it, if they MST it, then they're just sitting there for that turn. Maybe you can turn the thing around the next turn, because this deck is very easy to turn things around actually. It literally takes 1 card, usually being Needle Sealing or Jiangxi, but those 2 cards will get you rolling most of the time. Vanish is very nice. It is your own Forbidden Lance with no cost of losing anything. You just reveal 1 Ghostrick monster, which having, I think I run 8 hand traps, the level 1 Ghostricks. So there's 8 targets for you to reveal so that this card goes off, making your opponent sit there and look stupid that turn, because then they cannot destroy face down cards. And then for the last of our deck, I run 2 Wiretap to help me get things rolling. The Wiretaps actually work really well with this, because most people are like, oh, Ghostrick Vanish, alright, here's probably another Wiretap or something, and then you just Wiretap their Wiretap. It sounds stupid, but that'll keep your Vanishes from getting stopped, on top of keeping your Vanishes from being activated. Well, not keeping them from being activated, but making sure they get activated. Next we go on to our extra deck. I do 2 Alucard. Very, very important, a must at least 2. Strongly considering 3, but I only run 6 level 3s, so I could always recycle him anyways with a Dualahan or himself. So him at 2 is perfectly fine as is. Next, got 3 Dualahan or Pony, as some of my friends like to call him. Dualahan is very important because, especially with the Ghoul, you can use Dualahan's effect, detach, use Ghoul, pump up Dualahan, and run over whatever your opponent may have. So there are times where you can get Dualahan up to a 5,000, 6,000 attack very easy, especially if you got an Alucard, a Ghoul, and a Stein out there. And for our last Ghostrick Exceed, we have Succubus, who is very good at helping you lock down your opponent. As long as you have a face of Ghostrick monster on the field, you can detach and, well, as long as you have a Ghostrick on the field, they cannot use that spot that you destroy that monster from. But detaching and let's say for whatever reason your opponent lets you go off like this and you have one of each of the Ghostrick Exceed, that means you can destroy any card with, well, let's see, 3,000, with anything under 4,800 or less attack, which that's pretty much any card in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Making your opponent sit there and look stupid, not being able to use anything for the rest of that game, because if you have that many cards for field advantage, there's no reason they should run over anything you have. Next, we got the Downer Magician. Downer Magician, I think, is a must. I think I'm going to go and get a second one for this extra deck, just because you go into 3s and under so often, making this card a very live card. Especially with Alucard, you can go into your battle phase and probably attack directly, making it easy to hit main phase 2 on overlay. Next, we have the Exciton Knight. Now, it's not very often that you can use it, but for whatever reason, if you were to start with 2 hands, you are sitting pretty good, because if you set one and they run into it, there's no reason you should not be able to special summon one into defense, and they probably won't run it over if it's first turn, and then you summon the other one, overlay, and you will probably be able to blow up the field into your advantage as soon as you want at that point, making that duel more or less your duel. So this has been my Ghostrick deck profile. I appreciate you for watching, and keep looking at our channel every now and then and see if I update any of our current deck profiles. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.